I am DebOwers Bishop.
I'm Bob Williams.
Well, my grandfather actually purchased the home farm probably about 100 years ago, and then we've expanded it. My father expanded it, and then my sister and I expanded it. We started taking over the operation in 1998.
But the farm has been in the family for over 100 years.
We own and operate 1,200 acres in 4 different plots. It's a large county, so it's not all next to each other, so we have to travel back and forth. We have a diversified farming operation here. We have a contract with Pilgrim's Pride for our poultry operation, and then we have a grain operation where we produce about 410 acres of corn and 40 acres of soybeans.
We also have, we do some contract feeding on some cattle for other farmers in West Virginia. On the poultry operation, we have about 1.2 million broilers on an annual basis, and try to integrate the corn operation, the soybean operation, and the cattle operation all together, so that we can take some of the crops that we produce here and use them in the feedlot to provide feed for the cattle.
Our farming operation is 1,200 acres of property on 4 different farm lots. Hardy County is a rather large agricultural county, so we have to transport back and forth the equipment and the produce. We produce shelled corn. We have ensilage to feed the cattle and soybeans, which we market. And then we have poultry, which we sell to a contractor, Pilgrim's Pride, in town.
Well, I think, agriculture is a risk in a lot of areas, and you try to mitigate that risk as best you can by doing preventive maintenance on your equipment, insuring your livestock crops, insuring your buildings for fire, and insuring your crops with crop insurance. On this farm, the poultry is the big cash cow on the farm. We get income from that operation on a routine basis. So the poultry operation is the biggest risk that we have. The corn operation, the grain operations probably would be next.
My parents had crop insurance when I moved back to the area in '94. We noticed that the coverage was rather limited. And so at that point, my husband and I decided to increase the coverage because we were just uncertain of so many uncertain variables that were out there, and we didn't want to take that risk.
Jennifer and Deb's father was an early adopter of many, many agricultural practices. He built the first double-decker chicken houses in Hardy County. And I'm certain, I don't know this for a fact, but I am certain that when crop insurance became available, Clyde Hours went out, did very studious, careful research on the products, and made a decision. And I'm willing to bet that he was one of the first crop insurers in Hardy County, just because of the way he ran his operations. When crop insurance came available, I know he took a look at it, made the decision that it was something that he wanted to do. Well, in my opinion, what crop insurance does for us best is to protect our investment. Farming is an expensive operation, and when you put in 400 acres of corn, you have a lot of money invested in seed. You have a lot of money invested in fertilizer. Even though we use chicken litter to help offset some of those costs, we still buy a lot of nitrogen and some potassium. We have a lot of expense in chemicals. So you have seed, chemicals, fertilizer, and then fuel and labor cost in order to do this. So crop insurance protects that investment. If you have a disaster, you're going to be able to recoup from the crop insurance your investment plus a little bit that you would have had in the income from the grains. So the crop insurance really does help protect that investment. We always evaluate each year the entire farm operation. So we look at what we did last year with crop insurance and how we might improve that, whether we want to increase our coverage, whether we want to decrease our coverage based on the premiums, review what the premiums are going to be before Deb and Jen make a decision on what kind of crop insurance products we want to purchase.
From my experience, I would definitely recommend it. You never know when you're going to have a bad year or we cannot control the weather. Where we're standing right now, this is in a flood zone. So we put a large portion of our crops down here, and the river is only 50 yards down the road, and it comes up here. We also have a dike that was built that I've seen the water rush through, and this whole area was flooded. So I would highly recommend it because it's a risk that we don't need to take, because you can have a bad year yield-wise, but if your cropland's destroyed, that even sets you back even further.
I can't imagine why anyone wouldn't buy crop insurance if they had, 400 acres or 200 acres of corn or soybeans or any grain crop, because the protection against your investment is very cheap with crop insurance. It may seem like a big check you have to write early on in the season, but if your crop is damaged by any number of insects, disease, floods, wind, anything, you have something to fall back on. And most farms can't afford to lose the income from 400 acres of corn in a single season, considering what they've put in their input costs. So I just can't imagine why anybody wouldn't consider crop insurance as a backstop for their income situation.